Thank you. Of course, I have to begin not with my speech, but by saying, you know what I'm wearing. People who know me know I wear virtually nothing but zigzag. And if you have any question why, it should have been answered a few minutes ago. And for me, it's truly an honor and a privilege to share a stage with Sig and Kuha'o and Pua. They are truly extraordinary family who give so much to our place. Human beings have been solving problems since we first bumped into each other in caves. You know, hopefully we've done most of it very quietly and peacefully by words. You know, at some point we probably figured out we could flip a coin or a disc. At some point we figured out paper, scissors, stone, all kinds of different ways of resolving problems, sometimes probably a little more serious in the way we went about it. There was even a stage where we used champions. You know, my champion would fight your champion, and if my champion won, then obviously I was right in whatever our dispute we had. We actually used to do it sort of directly, you know, you and me. And if I walked away from the field, I was obviously right and you were obviously wrong. More recently, especially in the Western world, we've come to rely on courtrooms and on law books. We've come to rely on the process of law. And even when the lawyers aren't running the process, lawyers are writing the rules of the process. It's almost as if when Moses came down from the mountain, he was carrying with him the Administrative Procedures Act. You know, that we're going to solve our problems by following this set of rules that will control a kind of combat with each other. If you even think about the kind of terminology we've used over the years with this, it's all the terminology that goes with winning and losing, and it comes down often to this little word, versus. When we're problem solving this way, it's not me and you, it's you versus me. We've gotten better at it over the years. We use alternate dispute resolution, mediation, arbitration, certainly much better. At least most people who have ever participated in a courtroom battle will tell you it's much better. But it still comes off of this word. It still comes off of a sense that it is somehow a contest or a competition between what you believe and what I believe, and it's important to figure out what the answer is. For a lot of us, we have to ask the question, is there something better? Well, suicide bombing and other things are a lot worse. So most of us are thankful we live under the rule of law and that we live in a society where we can solve our disputes without violence. At the same time, we have to ask ourselves, isn't there something better than that? What if the processes we used started with words like this? Makes decisions, because decisions are important. We need to resolve our disputes and get somewhere. What if it honored all of its participants, respected all of its participants, and to the greatest degree possible, honored the needs of everyone who participated in it? Think of those words: makes decisions, respects, and honors. Truly a different kind of process than most of us have been involved with to date. Okay, so that's what we want to do. What's the key to it? This is an iconic photograph of listening. You and I do this all the time. We're good at it, right? I mean, I woke up this morning to an alarm clock, which I listened to. I listened to my wife. I listened to my kids. I listened to a CD on the way here. I listened to Gene. I listened to a lot of people. So far this morning, I listened to some great speakers this morning. We're really, really good at listening. Or are we? One of our problems is these things. We are often so distracted while we're supposedly listening. I mean, all of us have been in meetings where people sit and they're looking down at their lap. In the old days, we would have figured they were either meditating or sleeping. Today, we know what they're doing. They're doing their email, or they're texting, or they're tweeting. And even if they're tweeting about what you're saying, you still have to ask yourself, how well are they listening? Because if they're instantly passing on everything they're hearing, are they really listening? So first thing, cell phones down. put them away. The essence first of listening is to remember how important it is. All of us probably go to these kinds of things, these dinners that raise money for charities in town. You know, there's a great cause. Usually someone's honored. We sit in tables of 10. We have a good meal. We listen to speeches. We talk to each other. Go to a lot of these. Well, after one of them, a guy came up to me and said, "Your wife is the greatest conversationalist I've ever met in my life." So I went home very excited. I was saying, "John says you're the greatest conversationalist he's ever met in his life." And she started laughing. And when she stopped, she said, "I talked for 2 minutes and he talked for 45. But that's a great conversation to John because John was heard. John felt heard. If I had asked John how much each of them talked, I'm sure he would have said, "Oh, it's about half-half." He probably would have had no perception of how much he talked. My wife is a great conversationalist because she understands that the essence of a great conversation is to listen. To listen to another human being. And really, when we listen deeply, it's a matter of honoring and respecting. This is John Burns, Jack Burns. He was governor of state in the early years after statehood. When I was a young man, and this ages me, I campaigned for him. I remember campaigning, and I walked up a long driveway. And as I was getting close to the house, there was more and more noise in the house. And as I got closer, I heard a TV set, could smell the beer, a bunch of guys in there. I'm thinking, I'm not disturbing them. So I just knocked on the door, and I said, "I'm leaving some literature for Jack Burns. Thank you very much. Please consider us." And I started to back away. And out of the house poured all these guys. And they started talking about how Jack Burns had prevented the Japanese from being interned in Hawaii in World War II, founded the Democratic Party, was a police captain. What a great man he was. And then one guy said, "You know how I knew I could talk to Jack Burns? Because he could sit and talk in Plantation Squat for hours." Plantation Squat. That's where you get down like this and your rear end is on the back of your ankles. Try it for about 30 seconds and most of us are crippled. This is how this man looked all the time. He dressed in business suits all the time. Can you imagine him out visiting plantation workers, and he takes his over 6-foot frame and he goes down in Plantation Squat and he talks to plantation workers. The man who looked more like he owned the plantation was sitting there talking to plantation workers in Plantation Squat for hours. The level of respect that they must have felt for him, the level of feeling that this man truly wanted to communicate with them was huge. Listening, great listening, is ultimately about respect. What's in the background of that flower? I have not a clue. And that's really the point. If you think about great listening, think about this picture of a flower. What it should be is there is a bubble that comes from behind me and reaches out and includes all of you or includes the one person we're talking to. And there's nothing else. There isn't that argument what I had with my wife this morning where I was wrong, or the argument I had with my kids, which once again proved what an old fuddy-duddy I am, or the issue at work, or the meeting I'm going to after today. All there is you. And you need to feel that. You need to feel that my concentration is 100% on you, and that's body language, which means none of this, or looking at these things. It means 100% focus on you. Hawaiians have a term, ha'aha'a, which means humility. Like lots of terms in Hawaiian, there are multiple layers of meaning to it. One of the deeper layers of meaning to ha'aha'a is to empty out, to be empty. One of the ultimate gifts we can give each other as human beings is to empty ourselves out in order to hear you. If we can let go of all of the noise in ourselves, if we can let go of our egos, and truly be in front of somebody and let everything they are come inside of us. Not just their words, but what they're not saying. Their spirit. Everything about them should become part of us. Imagine what we could do to resolve issues in that moment. Imagine what that would do for most of our marriages. Imagine what that would do for most of the relationships we have with our kids. Imagine what that would do for us as a community. If we would make the gift of our emptiness, of our letting go, and truly, truly let somebody else come inside of us to hear and help us resolve problems. Which leads me to this, the Collaborative Leaders Network. CLNHawaii.org. This is a group that I'm part of, sponsored by Pierre and Pam Omidyar as a gift to Hawaii. It's a group of us who believe that problem solving needs to be handled in a different way. That we need to figure out how, as a community, we work together in ways, back to the language, that solves our problem, respects everybody involved, and truly honors to the greatest degree possible what each of us need out of the problems we face and challenges we face. It is truly an important time in our community. It is truly a time when we face extraordinary challenges. We need to make decisions. We need to figure out how to go forward as a community. We need to do it the right way. We said the theme of today was time. This is about time. It's about taking the time to be respectful. It's about taking the time to actually listen. It's about taking the time that it requires to truly hear one another in a way that allows us to build solutions that work for all of us. This is not a contest. This is not about winning and losing. This is about a very special place and how much we care for it. Look at that tiny speck up there. That's the Hokulea on one of its many voyages. Like that voyage, our voyage as a community to solve our problems in a way that truly reflects us is an important voyage. It's a voyage we need to take if we want to have the kind of society that truly honors each of us as a participant in it. Thank you so much. It's my honor to be here. Mahalo.